When it comes to global politics, you've got to think of some conflicts like a high-stakes chess match. And for decades, the one between Iran and Israel has been played in the shadows. Today, we're putting that entire board under the spotlight. We're going to treat this like a strategic game where every single move is calculated, and a checkmate could have consequences for the entire world. So let's break down the players, the pieces, and the endgame. So let's start with the news that has everyone watching. There's talk of a ceasefire, a peace deal. But is it for real? That's the one crucial question right now. Is this the start of a genuine peace, or is this just a strategic pause? A moment to reset the board before the next, even more dangerous move. This question really sets the stage for everything we're about to get into.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at that latest move, this surprise truce. Then we'll take a step back and look at the board itself, this 40-year rivalry. After that, we'll identify all the key players, the pieces that matter. Then we'll dig into what they're actually fighting over, the high-stakes strategic pieces. And finally, we'll wrap up with the 3 most likely endgames.
Okay, let's dive right into that first point. We have this surprise ceasefire on the table, so is it a real truce or is it a trap?
So this is the headline that's got everyone talking, a 2-week temporary ceasefire. And interestingly, it's being mediated by Pakistan, with the U.S. also involved in these indirect talks. Now, the hope, of course, is that this could lead to something permanent, but a sudden move like this on the chessboard puts everyone on high alert. Is it a real de-escalation, or is it just a chance for both sides to catch their breath and plan their next move?
To really get what's happening today, you have to understand how the board was set up in the first place. I mean, this isn't some new fight. It's a rivalry that's been brewing and evolving for more than 40 years.
The game really kicked off way back in 1979, after the Islamic Revolution in Iran. That's when the new government there took a hardline, hostile stance against Israel. For decades, this whole thing played out as a shadow war, basically an indirect fight using allied groups or proxies in countries like Syria and Lebanon. But here's the thing. Recently, the rules of the game have totally changed. We've gone from shadows to the spotlight, with direct missile and drone strikes. It's a much more open and, frankly, a much more dangerous confrontation. Okay, so in any game of chess, you have to know what the pieces can do. And this game is way more complicated than just Iran versus Israel. There are some seriously powerful players on all sides, and their moves can tip the entire balance. And this is where the chess analogy gets really useful. Think of Hezbollah, who's allied with Iran. They're like the rook in this game, a powerful piece that controls a really critical flank right on Israel's northern border. Then you've got the United States, firmly backing Israel. They're the queen, the most powerful external piece on the entire board. And right in the middle, you have Pakistan, trying to be the arbiter, working to mediate this incredibly complex standoff. But this game isn't just about the players themselves. It's about what they're playing for. There are some absolutely critical strategic assets on the board that could change everything and turn this regional fight into a full-blown global crisis. Let's start with the economy. I want you to look at this number, 20%. That's the chunk of the entire world's oil supply that passes through one narrow channel, the Strait of Hormuz. It's one of the biggest choke points on the planet. Any disruption here, well, it wouldn't just be a regional problem. It would send massive shockwaves through the global economy, and you and I would feel it at the pump. So you have the control of trade routes, and then you have the ultimate power piece, nuclear capability. At the heart of this whole conflict is the nuclear issue. And this right here shows you the deadlock, the core disagreement. The U.S. is demanding that Iran stops enriching uranium for at least 20 years. But Iran's offer? They're saying maybe 3 to 5 years, and only if those crippling economic sanctions are lifted. It's a huge gap, and it's a major roadblock to any kind of lasting peace.
And while that nuclear standoff is a long-term threat, there's a much more immediate flashpoint. Maybe the most dangerous spot on the entire board is that northern front with Hezbollah. Israel sees the growing activity on the Lebanon border as its #1 security threat, bar none. And a full-scale attack by Hezbollah, that wouldn't just be another move in the game. That could be the domino that topples the entire region into a really, really devastating war.
So, you've got the board, you've got the players, you've got the pieces in motion. Where does this all go? Let's talk about the endgame. Right now, experts see 3 main ways this whole thing could play out.
Okay, so scenario 1 is what we could call diplomatic checkmate. This is the best case scenario. A permanent peace deal is actually reached and tensions start to cool down. Scenario 2 is the long game. This is pretty much the status quo, where a direct war is avoided, but those proxy fights keep simmering in places like Syria and Lebanon. And then there's the third and most dangerous scenario, all-out war, a direct, full-scale conflict that would almost certainly drag in the U.S. and trigger a massive global crisis.
So, all of this brings us right back to where we started. The pieces are all on the board. The whole world is watching, and the next move is absolutely critical. Is this heading towards a long, drawn-out stalemate, or is one of these players getting ready to make a final, decisive move for checkmate? Right now, that's the question nobody can answer.